all of my brokers that I wouldn't do that to immediately cooperated against me.
For those people who are in the streets, especially those people who are from Chicago, we were your get out of jail free card. I had so many people telling me, I swear, once a week, a few times a month, we'd get paperwork on people I didn't know that were cooperating against us.
So, but these people, they get in the comments and they scream and they holler. But what's funny is the first time I got in trouble, when I went to my lawyer, I paid my lawyer 75 grand to plead guilty. To plead guilty. So I paid him 75 grand, said, look, I just want to plead guilty. And my lawyer said, listen, you haven't been indicted yet. He said, I can go to the U.S. U.S. attorney and I can get you something called pretrial intervention, where I can go, and if you cooperate, you go in to the FBI and you talk to them and you give them the files to a bunch of your brokers, because he knew they were committing fraud. You work with them, I can keep you from being indicted. And I went, he said, yes. He said, so you'd be fine. You're handing them over. Like, he knew I was going to end up with probation anyway. And I thought, and I thought to myself, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So I didn't do that. I took a plea. Got 3 years. And then, and keep in mind, I got in trouble because two people that I was working with, two mortgage brokers I was working with, wore a wire on me. I wouldn't do that to my brokers. But the moment that the feds came back around, all of my brokers that I wouldn't do that to immediately cooperated against me. So I knew then, right then I knew. Yeah. I'm done. I'm cutting everybody's throat. Everybody's throat.
This is a really good conversation because, many people don't believe it. It's just so weird, right? Like for those people who are in the streets, especially those people who are from Chicago, we were your get out of jail free card. I had so many people telling me, I swear, once a week, a few times a month, we'd get paperwork on people I didn't know that were cooperating against us. You know how lawyers are, like, we get all the paperwork. And I never have an excuse. I keep saying, I always told her, look, there's no excuse on why we did it. But what people are getting sold in social media and in the streets, like, it doesn't add up, man. We've been to federal prison, okay? It's a 98% conviction rate, okay? There's a very small percentage of people who go to trial. Everyone else pleads out or cooperates.
Right.
We have I think the feds have 100 and, whatever thousand, inmates in there, whatever they have. There's no way. I think that if anything, there's probably maybe, 5,000 guys that didn't have a choice, that went hard. And everyone else, some way, somehow cooperated or pleaded out and made someone else, implicated someone else in their crime, right?
Right.
But the numbers add up. But right now, when it comes to like everything's going on, especially you see what's happening right now with the like rap and Atlanta and all these guys that are, they're surprised that people are cooperating. And, I make no excuses. Like, look, in my cooperation, in my case, yeah, all my guys went to prison. There's very few that didn't. And, we hardly ever talk about this, but there's not one of those. Okay, there is one, just one person that I wasn't close to, but everyone else I have a relationship with. Shy knows this. They have reached out to Shy, and we have actually had, like Zooms about, look, it's so, like we have nothing but love for each other. So people are put in prison. There's people who are in prison today, and Shy could attest to this, that have reached out to him, and then later on have called me and said, I was mad, but I understand, man. And there's no excuse. Like, yeah, I did what was best for me, just like everyone else. And for those who didn't cooperate in my case, and I have like one individual who's like, I just want, just so you could see, I would never been a snitch. I would never told on you. And I tell them all the time, like, but I sent lawyers to you and told you to cooperate. Like you telling me that was not gonna make me think that you weren't, because guess what? All the other 99 guys did. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well, here's the thing. Like, okay, you're not going to cooperate. Well, good for you. I am going to cooperate. Like, I have a guy the other day who went on another podcast who was locked up with me. His name was Red Bull. And he goes on this podcast, and these two guys started this podcast. It's called 10 Toes.
Yeah, I got a problem with Kyle. I just want to talk to you about that later.
Oh, okay. I don't. It's funny because like the guy that set me up with Kyle and set me up with Jason, and these guys are calling me asking me to come on the podcast. Yeah, you can come on the podcast. Like, no problem. And this guy, I think is it not Jay? Sorry. Come on. I just said his name. Not Kyle, not Jason. The other guy's name
Red
is
Bull?
no. His name is fuck, I can see
He's
him
from
right.
that Florida
Nelson.
case, right? Yeah.
Nelson.
Yeah.
So this guy Nelson came on my podcast, talks to me, says that he took a plea, he got 8 months, and then I just heard through somebody else that he didn't take a plea. He got a 5K, or he took a plea, but he got a 5K1. He cooperated, and he got a Rule 35. But he's hooked up with these guys that are talking about being stand-up guys. Then they go on, they've got this podcast, and they bring this guy Red Bull on so that Red Bull can blast me about cooperating. And what's so funny about that, then Red Bull calls me, and, and actually it's funny when I reached out to him after I saw the podcast, and he was completely like, he didn't know the story. So he's like, oh, Matt gave some guy 10 years. I didn't give him 10 years. The guy got six months, and he didn't even do the 6 months. And so Red Bull, when he and Red Bull's, he's saying stuff that he's talking about stuff that he doesn't know anything about, but it's fine. The spirit of what he said was true. So I got on the phone with him. I texted him, said, hey man, I saw that. He did a great job telling his story, and he has an amazing story. Which I hope he does very well with. I hope he, I tried to give him a little bit of advice, and, I got on the phone and we start talking. And he's like, yeah, well, what bothers me is that, you told on this guy. Like, what if it was me? You would have told on me? I said, yeah, of course I would have told on you. Of course. And he's like, well, that's fucked up. Why is it fucked up? I know you from prison, bro. We're work friends. That's it. Once we lose this job, we don't talk anymore. We talk once on the phone. We say we're going to get together. We don't get together. I never heard from this guy. When he got out, he didn't look me up. When he was in prison, and I sent him a couple of emails, he didn't respond to the emails. I'm writing letters. He doesn't respond. Like, we're not friends. I met you in prison. I wouldn't hang out with you on the street. What are you talking about? Like, are you delusional to think that I wouldn't fucking cut your throat to get out of fucking prison?
There's a lot of delusion, and I'm sure you know this more than anybody. There's a lot of delusion in the criminal world because, me and Jay talk about it all the time. Me growing up seeing guys that cut each other's throat, and then they're hanging out a week later, and it's like, wait a minute, it doesn't mean nothing. This is a whole farce, a circus. This is a theater. It's theater at the end of the day.
They want to believe that they've got some kind of code, but the truth of the matter is that you don't owe these people anything. You owe your family something. It's always like, why are you selling drugs? Oh, to provide for my family. And then the moment you get caught, you're not supposed to tell on the other people or cooperate with the other people that were in the conspiracy with you. You're supposed to leave your family at that time because those people aren't going to take care of your family. They're going to cooperate against you. You're in a bad
hindsight, what everyone says,
spot if you don't cooperate. You're
the dumbest remarks I get is this. Like, I don't make excuses. You're absolutely right. What people say, the code. What code? Like, there's no code. Cooperation has been part of the game. I'm gonna tell you, I learned that since my father was in prison. So my father went to prison in 1980. All right. Snitching has always been a part of the game, but one of the things that I recently saw, and Wallow and Gilly, they have the podcast $100 million worth of game, or $1 million worth of game podcast. They're out of Philly.
I don't watch podcasts, bro.
Yeah,
I watch documentaries. I barely ever watch I've never watched one of my podcasts.
Oh yeah,
I'm sick of it.
He's a great man. He's articulate. So Wallow did 20 years. They have a very successful, one of the most successful podcasts. He's become a keynote speaker, a motivational speaker. Street guy, very smart, and he did an interview where he says, all these people who talk about, I wouldn't snitch, I wouldn't do, like, how could you say that when you never even been in those predicaments? You don't know what you're doing till you're in that situation. And a lot of people, of course, call me and my brother out about, like, all these idiots, we're this, we're that, about everything. And I always wonder, like, I'm gonna sound like Jay-Z right here. Like, if we're so idiots, how come there's not another one of me alive or running around the country, right? Doing the same thing we did. But everyone could make excuse about cooperating. I've seen a lot of people that come on your show and say, yes, I cooperated, and I'll make an excuse. Oh, they would have done it to me. They would have, and I would tell you something. That's why I love your perspective. That I've seen the other side, and I used to tell all the guys, look, I know, you're gonna cooperate. I know what I'm facing. But I did do it a little bit different because I reached out to the government myself. But I did it literally to change my life. And I said, look, I'm not going to choose them over my family. I know the way it goes. You could even see, even at the highest levels of drug trafficking, the people that all these street people admire, like the Chapos and the Mayos and all these people, they're the biggest snitches. They invented the word betrayal.
Well,
I learned that firsthand.
All the mobsters cooperating.
So what's weird is that they would say, "Oh, you know what? It's not good for snitch, but it's okay for you to, shoot your friend that you grew up with, or your brother-in-law, or someone in the back of the head because they think something, or they assume something, or you're bad for their environment now, or for their organization. It's okay with that. So it's weird because people would rather have seen me and my brother be murderers than cooperators, and then we tell them, like, look, we don't have we didn't do no violence, and they're like, oh, you're full of it. Oh, we if we did, it would have always been something. You're not built for that life. And I'm like, look, man, I wasn't built for that life, but guess what? I made it. That's the only difference. No one's built for it.
Right.
No matter what's the business.
So what's the issue? Am I violent or am I soft? Pick a side. Are you guys you and your brother are soft, or are you and your brothers definitely committed violence against people? Which is it? Like,
pick an argument. And you know this, Matt, now because you've been on the other side now. Like, you probably started off on financial crimes, but you were in prison. I know you said you did a little bit of time with LaBarbie, right?
No. You've said that before.
I thought you said that there's a cartel guy, or maybe one of your guests said
there were
into the Bible
guys, but not LaBarbie. No.
Oh, okay. You were not with him. Okay, but there's people like that, for instance. Okay, there's these, big drug lords. Anyone, I'm gonna tell you, even Chapo's kids who I was associated with. It's real easy for you to point the finger and say, "Go kill." I had that power, right? Where I could have been like, yeah, get rid of them. That's hard, having the power and not going into that. But it just won't. We were not going to be fakers when we were in the street. We were not going to be, what everyone thought it should be like,
Right.
Matt, was there ever any cartel's the buzzword around town nowadays. All you got to do is say the word cartel and you get a whole bunch of views right now. But was there any just throwing it out there, any overlap in the real estate situation? Never saw some guys that you thought, hey, maybe these guys, and none of that shit, never ran into no overlap. That's a pretty safe business to be in, that mortgage fraud shit right there, huh?
Yeah, I've never had any issues with anything like that. I had not a legitimate business, but I had what seemed to be a legitimate business for several years until, I got caught, and then still appeared legitimate for a while. And now, I didn't need to bring in anybody. I mean, it was me and a group of guys, and most of the people that were involved in any type of my fraud were asking to be involved, right? Like, they see me making a bunch of money and they want to make a bunch of money. And I say, okay, this is what I'm doing. You could do this or this, and I'll help you do this, and we can work together, or forget about it. Don't worry about it. Oh, no. I want to be involved. I want to do what can I do? Okay, well, here's what you can do. So, that was pretty much it. But no, there were no cartel guys. The only time I ever met any of those guys was when I was locked up.
Right. Yeah, that wasn't the kind of business where you worried about some guy that you did business with looking for you and shit.
Nah.
Not that kind of gig.
Listen, no, nothing
jail,
like that.
Whole different deal right there. I wish you was locked up with LaBarbie. I would have had some great questions. Go ahead.
I'd say that it's funny. I remember one time I got upset because I bought a piece of property. I bought it was a quadplex. I bought the quadplex on, let's say, a Monday. I forget when I bought it. Let's say I bought it on a Monday. And the people I bought it from were in the middle of evicting someone. So I said, look, don't stop the eviction. I'll I can close on Monday, keep evicting them because they were going to have the guy out by, let's say, Wednesday. I said, have him out by Wednesday, because if they stopped the eviction, I had to pick it up. I had to start over. It'd take another 30 days. So it was like, no. He won't know that we changed hands. Just keep evicting him. They said, okay, that's fine. Or I said, or we can wait and close on Thursday or Friday. They said, no, we'll close Monday. We close Monday. Wednesday, the cops show up. They throw the guy out. Guy gets in his car, drives down the street. The cops leave. He gets a gas can, comes back, walks into the house, kicks in the front door, pours the gas can out, sets the place on fire. The next door neighbor, who's like in a wheelchair, watched the whole thing, called the police. Cops grab the guy. He gets arrested. He goes to jail. And I have to. So literally, I've owned the place 2 days. I'm making a claim for a fire.
Right.
And I remember being, this is the world that I lived in. I made the claim, and someone at the insurance agency was telling people that they thought I had started the fire. And I called up and I bawled out the owner of the agency and told him if I heard one more person say it, I was going to sue them. That's the world I was like. That was a
that was
thing.
a threat, huh?
That was
Man, that was a blessing, huh?
I mean this shit.
Oh, listen, you know what's even funnier about that? Listen to this. And this is also the world. So the insurance adjuster comes out from the company. They come out, they come out and they say, yeah, it's going to be like $32,000. I forget the exact, like 32, 34,000, something like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he leaves. He says, I'll send you an estimate. I said, okay. I then call what's called a private adjuster. It's somebody in Florida who will represent you. Like, what if State Farm is trying to tell you $34,000 and you're like, no, it's going to be more than that. So you get a private adjuster. He comes out. He looks at the damage. He goes back to the insurance company's adjuster and says it's going to be $59,000 to replace that, to fix that place. And keep in mind too that the cops showed up the fire department showed up right away and they put out the fire. So, but it was damaged. There's a lot of smoke. It was a big fire in one of the units. And so they argue for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and I end up getting a check for $59,000. I give $5,000 to the private adjuster. So keep in mind now I've got this place I just got an extra $20-something thousand. I pay some guy like $1,000 to go clean out the place, gut it, right? And I'm going to renovate it. And I'm going to renovate it for, I guarantee, less than 20. But before I can start, I pay like $1,000, maybe $1,500 to some guy. He cleans it out. Before I can do anything, I get a letter from Hillsborough County School Board that says, we want to buy your property. We're putting in a school across the street. They offer me $120,000. I argue with them over the course of the next month or so. I get them up to, I want to say 138. And we close like 3 days later. I get them to agree to it. We close 3 days later. Keep in mind, I bought this place for $80,000. So I made the 50 for the fire. I made the 50. That's just it. And I still owe 80. And then I sold it for 138, less closing costs. So I make another 50, 55,000, 58,000. So I made over $100,000 on this piece of property. I made 3 payments on it.
That's crazy.
That's a good deal.
That was a great deal.
Great fire.
Yep, that was a great. You were just on a roll, on a lucky streak, huh?
Listen, and that, by the way, the 80,000 that I bought it for, I actually got it was 100% financing. I told the insurance when I bought it, I told the bank that it was worth like $100,000. They lent me $100,000. I put $20,000 down. They lent me the 80, and I took the 80 and paid off the seller, and I kept the 20. So I got 100% financing and never put any of my own money in it. So I close on a Monday, and 3 months later I close. I sell the thing, made like 3 payments, 2 or 3 payments, made over $100,000. Like that, so that's the world that I lived in. Like there were no close calls. Nobody was pulling guns. Nobody's threatening each
Jay,
other.
you was in
People-
the wrong business.
Hey, you know what? I was
People
thinking for
talking
all
bad
the
about me,
people,
and I'm going to do something. I'm going to sue you. Yeah.
for all the people in the audience, if you can't get a house loan or mortgage or anything, this is why. Send all your
Yeah.
hate mail to Matthew Cox.
Yeah.